Hi, thanks for coming. My name is Kivanc. I will today talk about the CPAN Pull Request challenge. You can find a copy of my slides at the address on the slides. To begin with, I want to introduce myself just a little bit. I went to college in Istanbul, Turkey, in Boğaziçi University. I studied computer engineering. And then I went to UC Santa Cruz in California, United States, for computer science grad school. For 2 years now, I'm working at ZipRecruiter also in California, Santa Monica, as a software engineer. My username in Twitter, GitHub, and Pose is KYZN. My blog is also kyzn.org. There's another Twitter account I'm using named Pull Request Club. And it is quite related to what we're going to talk about today. Let me get rid of this. Let me remind you, or let me tell you that today's talk is a beginner-friendly talk. So I'm going to assume that you don't know about CPAN, and I will try to explain you what CPAN is, what makes it great. I'll try to give an example as well. I'll try to explain what a pull request is, why it's important, and how it works. I will get to what CPAN Pull Request challenge is. I'll try to convince you to join the challenge if you're not a participant already. I'll tell you how you can join, and then I'll give some details about how it will look like in the future. A quick announcement for a birds of feather, and then we'll be done. Let's get started with CPAN. CPAN is the archive of Perl modules that we all love and use. It's great, and it currently hosts more than hundreds of thousands of almost Perl modules. To me, that sounds like it has solutions to at least tens of thousands of problems. So if you have a problem in your mind that you want to code, you should probably go first check if it's already solved if there's already a solution on CPAN. So for example, let's think about this. You want to write a subroutine that takes 2 words, and you want to output a similarity score, right? You want to output a number. For whatever reason, like you want to build a dictionary, you want to find similar words, whatever you want to do. If you go to CPAN, there's already a module named string similarity, which does exactly what you wanted to build. You can write your own, it's okay as well, but there is no need to reinvent the wheel, as the saying goes. What makes CPAN great, there are a lot of things that makes CPAN great. But I'm just going to give one example, and that is CPAN testers, which is automated testing of all CPAN modules, basically. When someone uploads a module to CPAN, they are expected to add some tests to their distribution. And those tests are run against various operating systems, against various Perl versions. So if any of those fails, author gets an email saying, hey, your module failed for Windows, whatever. So that's one thing that most package managers out there for other languages don't have. And in fact, the screenshot is from YouTube. It's a talk given by Gene Hack. If you haven't seen this talk, I highly recommend. It's a talk where he basically goes and says, these are the great stuff we love about Perl. Please steal this to your language and use it. So a pull request, again, to explain what it is, it's pretty much how people share code these days. It's not the only way, of course, but if you want to contribute to a open source project, the most common way is to submit a pull request to the project. Again, I will give an example, and let this example be this. I have a script, I have a Perl script that prints first name of everyone in this room. It's in my namespace, so it's called Kivanc name printer, and it just prints first name. For the time being, let's ignore how I get your first name from your full name. And you want to write a script that does exactly the same thing, except you don't want to print first name, but the full name instead. So you can, again, go ahead and start from scratch and write your own full name printer script. But you come across my script, and then you figure you can just make a copy of it into your namespace, and then modify it to print full names instead. So basically, you get rid of the lines where I try to parse first name out of full name. And then you're pretty much done. You have your script. It's all good. But then you realize that my script is not actually parsing first names correctly. And you figured that you can actually tell me, you can give this difference back to me so that the original script also prints full names. When you do that, when you give me your code and say, please merge this back into your original repository, because you're assuming everyone has a first name, you're assuming first name and last name are separated with a space, for whatever reason. When you do that, it's called a pull request. And when it's merged back, you are now a contributor to the repository. That's a high-level look of what a pull request is. And behind the scenes, it's really a it's a difference between files. So it produces a patch that can be applied to the original repository. And on GitHub, I'm specifically giving an example on GitHub because CPAN Pull Request challenge happens on GitHub. And on GitHub, a pull request is more than actually a diff file. It also contains a discussion. So it has this conversation tab where people who submit the pull request can contact, can talk with other people who are contributing to the repository. The pull request challenge, the CPAN Pull Request challenge, it works like this. You get one CPAN module assigned to you per month, and then you are expected to submit one pull request to that module, at least one pull request. So once a month, you get a module assigned to you, and then you submit a pull request. That's it. The way it works right now, Neil Bowers is organizing this challenge since 2015, so it's the 4th year now. You get an email from Neil saying, this is your assignment for the month. Here's the link to GitHub. Here's the link to test failures. And here's some warnings. Go do whatever you want. And then you do your work. You submit your pull requests on GitHub, and then email Neil back saying, hey, here's my pull requests. You can also say things like, I want to skip next month, but I want to quit for a couple months. I'll email you back, whatever. So the reason I'm saying this is that the challenge is not a strict challenge against other participants. It's a challenge against yourself, basically. You can do as much as you want, as long as you want. There's no pressure on, you're not out if you skip a month. That's what I'm trying to say. There's another challenge I want to mention, which is slightly related, and it's called Hacktoberfest. You can actually see some people wearing those shirts around the conference. This is another challenge organized by GitHub and DigitalOcean. And the reason I'm giving this example is that it's relatively easy to combine with CPAN Pull Request challenge. Hacktoberfest is about submitting 4 pull requests to any repository on GitHub. It can even be your own repositories. You can submit 4 pull requests during the month of October. So if you get an October assignment from Neil, if you submit 4 pull requests, you're done for Hacktoberfest, and you get a free t-shirt, which is awesome. You should join Pull Request Challenge, but why? first of all, at least this was the case for me, you learn Perl. You improve your Perl skills by reading what other people have written so far. You're reading and looking at Perl code that is on production and has been used for a while now. To add to that, you're looking to find some issues in that code. So you're, when trying to reproduce those issues, you're going into debugging mode. And that is also a major skill to learn, especially if you're a student or if you're just started in the tech world. And once you do that, you can also go ahead and write new tests so that the issue you just covered does not come back, which is just another plus. And another thing, this is relatively minor, but even if you're advanced Perl developer, you get to learn about new modules that you had no idea about before. And it's not just, oh, I learned about this module now, I'm done, type of thing. You get to learn what that module does and how it works, and if you fix it, that's even more experience. You get to contribute to open source. You get to fix some CPAN modules, and you also get to communicate with other people who fix CPAN modules, who make CPAN modules. And that communication, if it happens on GitHub, if it happens on email, if it happens on IRC, it's also adding you something that you can use in your company. Another thing is, this is the last item I have, but you can get an assignment as a team where you can work on an assignment module with a couple of people, which is really fun. It can be used as a nice team building event. How to join is super easy. You just need to email Neil and give your GitHub username saying, I want to join. You have to do this by December 2018 because the CPAN Pull Request challenge is going away by December 2018, as we know. But going to future, I have already started building this thing called Pull Request Club, which was the Twitter handle I showed at the beginning. This is still a work in progress. None of the links that you see in screenshot are working right now. But I'm hoping to finish this by the end of year so that Pull Request Challenge can keep going without a pause. The code for the website is on GitHub as well. So if you want to help me build this, I will be more than happy to tell you how. And if you are a CPAN author, if you already have like tens of modules and CPAN Pull Request Challenge is not a thing for you, but you would still love some people to get CPAN assignments for your modules, what you can do is this. For CPAN Pull Request Challenge that exists right now, you need to talk to Neil to get involved. But going forward, Pull Request Club is not going to assign modules themselves. Rather, we will depend on GitHub issues. So we'll get some GitHub issues and assign those to people who are participating in this challenge. So create some GitHub issues and add some labels or tags or whatever you want, basically saying help wanted. And we'll search for those and just assign those to random people who want to do work. Last thing I have is the announcement about the birds of feather we have. We did this in Salt Lake City as well, which was really fun. It's going to be tomorrow around lunchtime, the birds of feather time. So if you want to learn more about how to submit a pull request, if you have never submitted a pull request, if you have merged some pull requests in your company but not in open source, basically for anything, for any questions you have, feel free to come find me and just ask me anything. I also have a couple links that should help you get started, but I'll be there. Thanks a lot for coming and listening. And a huge thanks to Neil Bowers, who is organizing this challenge for 4 years now. And also thanks to all participants. Thank you. If you have any questions, we have some time. Yeah.
So Neil Bowers just tired of doing it? Is that why it's going away, or is there some other reason?
He has a rather long. Oh yeah, sorry. The question is whether why Neil Bowers is giving up doing this. I understand he wrote a rather long blog post at January of this year, so I'd recommend reading that for the whole reasoning. But I understand it's a little tiring job to do. But let's see if we can keep it going. If it works, it works. Yes. Any more questions?
What about when you explain about how the environment stuff works? So I've got my laptop, which has got
Yeah. Right. So the question is about environments, and if you have a different version of Perl installed, or how do you solve those problems? Actually, since we have some time, let me go to extra slides and show you exactly that. We have a setup guide for people who are willing to install a Perl environment like Perlbrew or Plenv. Or if you don't want to do that, or if you want to get started even faster, there is a different way we use, and it's slightly overkill, but we built a Docker image, Docker container, that has Perl 5.28, distzilla, CPAN, so it has the minimum requirements of what you need. And you can mount your folder into the Docker image, even if you have no Perl on your local system, or if you don't want to use your system Perl, you can mount that image and then install whatever you want to install there, or run Perl through there. Basically, I can actually see if I can do this.
You don't even have to be you don't actually code inside the Docker container. You're running that, and then it puts Perl into your pack from that Docker container, right?
Right. So Inge is saying you don't even have to use container for coding, which is correct, because you just need a Perl executable, basically. You just need to run Perl, and that's what container does.
One kind of cool thing about that strategy is that you can actually run untrusted code that way.
Yeah.
Because it can only really affect anything under your current directory.
That's a great point. You can also run untrusted code that way without affecting your local. So the Docker image, Docker run. Let's see. If you do this, now Penguin was my local, and now I'm in my Docker container. And if I do Perl-v, you get 528. Which Perl? It's under Perlbrew. Which CPAN, that's also Perlbrew. You also have distzilla pre-installed for you as well. So the way we use it, let me show you with the mount option. Here I have a directory named demo module, which is just a module.pm with some random tests. So if you do docker run and -v demo module, and then you put a colon, let's specify the second part of the this is the directory inside Docker container. And then I'm going to put the same IT Now I'm in the same Docker container. Start from scratch. Which Perl, which CPAN, it's the same. And if I go to where I mounted, it's right there. And if I do zil test, it just runs. And you can modify the test file in your local editor and run the diesel test again in Docker container. So if you have if you don't want to mess with your environment, you can. That's an alternative way to do it. And having Plan or Perl brew at least helps you because some of the test failures happen only on specific Perl versions. So say your Perl your module fails, your test suite. Your test suite fails on 5.10 only. How are you going to install that? You need, if you have Perl brew, you can go ahead and Perl brew available, and you just pick one of those and say Perl brew install, and you're ready to go.
You cannot, however, run BSD versions with Docker because it's Linux, primarily designed for Linux, so you would have an issue if you have installed BSD.
On Windows, did you say?
I don't, I've never used Docker.
So I know you can run this on Mac or on Linux.
Yeah, but you can, your host container can be either Mac, Windows, or Linux.
Right.
On BSD, there's something that is
On BSD?
You cannot.
Okay.
Your container cannot be BSD.
Okay. So he's saying there might be some issues with BSD. If you have BSD, we might need to figure out some other solution. Okay.
Because Windows and Mac they actually boot up a virtual machine that is Linux and then.
Mm-hmm.
So that Docker image already contains all of the
Perl versions?
you're inside the Docker image.
Yeah. So Perl brew available lists. So the question is whether if this Docker container has all Perl versions. The Docker container comes with 5.28.0 right now. I'm updating it as new Perl versions are available, but it only has the latest version. Perl brew available lists you a list of Perl brew versions that you can install. So you can go say Perl brew install Perl 5.10.0, and it's actually going to download it and install it.
It might not be a bad idea to actually build your Docker container with trillions of Perls. I mean, so like
Yeah.
there's so many versions of Perls, but then there's so many flags to build with that people don't often build and test against.
Right.
They build a huge matrix, ship it as a huge Docker container, and
Right.
have all of those available to test safely with. Might be an interesting.
Yeah. So he's saying that you can actually build a Docker container with all those Perl versions, which makes sense, but it's going to be huge if you do that. It can be an alternative to what we have, like one for latest Perl only and one for whatever, everything. Right. Yeah, for sure. That's a good idea. Anything else? Let me stop this, actually. Thank you.